Today, we're going to talk about the cost of living in beautiful, adorable Schweinfurt, Germany, which is located in Franconia, which is the upper part of Bavaria, as high as you could go in Bavaria. Now, me personally, I love Schweinfurt. I lived there 2 years of my life, but I didn't have to pay no rent, no utilities, or nothing like that because I had a benefit package. I served in the United States Army and I was stationed there on Leeward Barracks back in the 80s. And so I had to pay anything for my living expenses, including food, unless I went out on the town and went out to eat, whatever, then I paid. But anyways, it's different now. So now I got to pay for everything. But I just want to give you a three-tier discussion here. Number one is rent. Okay, we're going to discuss rent. We're going to discuss utilities. We're going to discuss food to include eating out, grocery shopping, vice versa, and all that stuff. Now, when you look at Schweinfurt in a whole, it's a lot cheaper than the bigger cities like Munich and Berlin or other big cities in Germany. Okay, just like in the U.S. or anywhere else. Okay, common sense, right? Because Schweinfurt is considerably smaller than those places. But you're looking average around 1,200. Say a single person, 1,200 to $1,800 a month. Couple, you're looking at 2,500 to 3,000. Now, this is including everything, all those things put together. But like I said, we're gonna break it down a little bit. Now, the first one that I want to talk about is rent. Okay, now there's a lot of places, affordable places in Schweinfurt to rent, especially again in other German cities. A 1, 2, 3 bedroom apartment right there in the city center, it averages about, I say, around 530 to 1070 euros per month. Okay, so that is basically the average rent for that. Okay, so 530 to 1,070, right around there. Okay, now don't hold me to those numbers. These are average rents. Okay, so if you got a single room, say a single room out there, especially for students or somebody there, you're going to look about 250 to right around 350 euros per month. All right, especially as a student or a single person or whatever. That's pretty cheap. You heard me right. 250 euros, which that's about 288, $287 USD, right around there, up to 403 bucks a month USD. Like I said, 350 euros, whatnot. But there are apartments there in the city center that ranges from 150 euros to 300 euros. Now you're hearing right. Okay, it's very, very affordable. That's why people like to go to Germany, right? Oh my goodness. Well, you look now. There's big differences between United States homes and the homes in Germany. They're much smaller, right? So if you have a small, let's see, a 55 meter. Okay, everything's in meters over there. 3 bedrooms, right? You're looking between right around 1,300 to about 1,500 a month, roughly, right in there, and a very nice one too. They really upkeep their stuff there. Okay, but also like Munich or any other city, it depends on size, right? There's different sizes, different strokes for different folks. There's some that a little bit bigger. You're looking at 480 to 600 euros per month. Okay, but then you have, for the same thing that you will get in Schweinfurt, you'll find that same apartment, same size, or pretty similar for about 1,400 a month to $1,700 a month. So you see the difference there. Okay, now you have Schweinfurt there, and it's beautiful. The city center is beautiful. I mean, it's a very walkable city. It's a small city. It's right there on the river, right there on the main river, and that's the name of the river. It's called the Main River, and and there's a lot of apartments there. So the size of the apartment, of course, affects whatever the amount's going to be. That's common sense, right? Okay. Now, but you also have furnished apartments. You have unfurnished apartments. Now you have, some places they got everything there: the couches, the tables, and everything, but literally not the kitchen sink. Now, I had a friend of mine remind me who lives in Germany just the other day, says, well, hey, you have to consider the sinks or the kitchen over there, because most apartments you go over there and that you go to, and you go rent one or lease or whatever, you have to purchase a whole new sink to put in there. So all that's got to be added on to that cost too to get there. You literally got to purchase the kitchen sink. All it is a room with a bunch of hookups, right? So, anyways, so you gotta think of all these things. So furnished, unfurnished, but don't forget the kitchen and the kitchen sink, right? So, which goes into the additional expenses category and whatnot. Okay. Now, again, rent. It depends on what you have, the size you have, the location. Location is big. Okay. But when you look at the costs of that difference between a smaller city and a larger city, it makes you start thinking, right? Now, there are other options too. Now you have Schweinfurt. Now there's many cities that are close by, city, townships, whatever. You got a place called Haasfurt. Haasfurt's a beautiful city. I got friends that live there, as a matter of fact. Now you could find probably a 3, 4, 5 bedroom apartment there for $600 to $700 or euros per month, right around there. And that includes other cities too. Right outside of Schweinfurt, you have all kinds, Seinfeld, and all those places around there. Different prices. You get more for your buck when you go out of any city center, basically, right? So let's talk about utilities. Okay, well, you got to consider the electric, the water, the garbage, all the good stuff. But good news, a lot of those expenses, they're included in your rent and your lease. Okay, but the average cost for those utilities, say for a 55 to an 85 meter apartment, is between 150 euros and 180 euros, right around there. Average, that's for one person, and double for two. Okay, if you have two or more, of course, it's going to add up. It's called common sense. And I'm trying to record my video, and my phone's dinging, so please excuse me. All right, but you got to consider these. You got to consider all the stuff here: electricity, heating, garbage, disposal. Okay, now let's go back to the heating thing. The heating is different over there. They use a lot of natural gas. Of course, there's a lot of wood burning stoves that they use there as well. But which I love. I love the wood burning stoves, right? Okay, but you got to think of these things, all the utilities. Now, utilities also internet. Now, internet would be separate. Now, with that being said, there are some places that I've in my research that is included in the rent too. That's cool too. I like that. But internet in Germany is about 40 euros a month. So USD, that averages about $46 in USD, United States dollar. So that's not bad at all. Another thing too, if you have a TV, all right, there's a thing called it's a broadcasting fee, Rundfunkbeitrag. Oh my goodness, say that 5 times. Rundfunkbeitrag. I'm saying that wrong. Any German speakers out there, help me out there. How do you say broadcasting fee? Rundfunkbeitrag. I don't remember. Anyways, you got to pay a fee, and it averages between 18 euros, 19 euros a month. So that comes to about $20, $21 USD per household, not per person, per household. A lot of fees, right? A lot of fees, but the fees are different. Okay. Now these are average figures that I'm giving you. Okay. And so don't hold me. That guy from magnificent Germany over there and said it was going to cost this. Why not this way? These are just average costs and expenses that we see here. You got to look at the age of the apartment, the size of the apartment, all the stuff, your habits. What are your habits? Okay. Older buildings, they may have higher heating costs, right? Okay. Newer buildings, it might be a little bit less because, upgraded heating system and whatnot. Okay. So you got to think of all these things. Now, if you're living in a dormitory, like in a university or whatnot, all that's included in there. Okay. But if you go over anything, if you go over that certain amount, be prepared to pay extra, just like anywhere else, just like here in the great state of Florida. If I put the AC on too much every single day, every day, whatever, at 69 degrees, I'm going to pay for that, right? Just like in Germany, just like everything. So common sense, right? All right. The next thing, that number 3, is food. Okay. I love food. Oh my goodness. I love food. In fact, I'm craving a a good bratwurst right now. Oh, mit sauerkraut. Oh yes, or a Schweinhaxe or rouladen, and of course spaghetti eyes for dessert. I'll take that. Right. Okay. But let's look at food costs. All right. Now the food costs in Germany or in Schweinfurt, Germany, is of course less than Munich. Okay. It just is. Munich, big city. Schweinfurt, small city. Big difference. Okay. But um, let's you're if you're looking to spend your money wisely on food, you're going to pay probably between 400, and that's going up. I mean, that's 400, 500 euros a month, maybe then, for, I don't know, for a couple. I mean, the food is cheaper over there. Okay. It's much cheaper. Okay. When you look at the whole grocery bill, I mean, it's way cheaper than it is here. Okay. Now, some suggest for a single person between 150, 250 euros, right around there, but it depends on your consumption, how much you're eating, how much, whatever, just everything's compared, or, it's on you, right? Whatever your consumption uh, is what the price is going to be. Okay. So it depends on your diet, depends on what you like to eat. Okay. Whether you go to organic markets or you go to discount stores, whatever. Okay. It is. Now, I looked up some average prices for you for some necessities. Okay. Now, not a gallon of milk, but a 1 liter is 70 euro cent. 70 euro cent. Okay. That's like less than a buck for a liter of milk. A loaf of bread, €1 30 cents. A dozen eggs, you're looking at €1 82 cents, guys. We haven't seen that in the States since forever. It used to be $1.60, whatever. But you're looking at a €1 82 on average. Chicken breast, 1 kilogram, not pounds or whatever, but kilogram. You're looking at €7, right around €7 for 1 kilo of chicken breast. Same with potatoes, like potatoes. You 1 kilo is 97 cents, guys. 97 cents. You can't beat that. You see where the savings are? You see it? Okay. So now you got to consider it all. You got to consider it all. Cooking at home or eating out. Okay. I like both. I like to cook out, and I certainly like to go out to eat, especially in Germany. Okay. So you got to find out where you like to eat and whatnot when you go to the restaurant. But let's get back to cooking at home. If you cook at home, you're going to save a lot of money. You're going to save a lot of money. But when you do go out, you'll find that places are much cheaper in Schweinfurt than you would see in other larger cities in Germany. All right. So, anyways, always think of that. But nothing like casual dining. I love that. I love that word, casual dining. Right. So if you go to a casual diner in Germany, okay, which most of them are homegrown, okay, family owned, whatever, you're looking between 10 and 20 euros per person for a hearty meal. I kid you not. I mean, that is very economical. Uh, mid range, right around there, you're looking about 20 to 40 euros, right around there. A 3-course meal maybe costs you 30 euros, maybe a possibility. Okay. Bakery items are really cheap. Oh my goodness. It's just different. It's just different. When you go to fast food, like Mickey D's or whatever, and there is a difference between a German Mickey D's and American Mickey D's. That's McDonald's, guys, or whatever. You're looking at between 7 and 10 euros. Okay. Food like bratwurst or a donut kebab. Okay. Look between 2 to maybe 3, 4 euros, maybe just off the top of my head. But it's really good. But consider all these in the cost of living when you think of like monthly budget. I do everything by the month, right? So you gotta think of these things. You got to think about all these factors, including grocery, including eating out, and everything when you're doing it as a whole. When you're making your budget as a whole for beautiful Schweinfurt, Germany, right? So, anyways. The bottom line is, compared to bigger cities, Munich, Berlin. I mean, many, Nuremberg. I can name them all. Okay, Schweinfurt is very budget friendly. There's budget friendly stuff in those other places too, but between Schweinfurt and those other cities, you'll see a considerable difference, a significant difference in prices. Okay, which this makes it really, really attractive for people who like to move there one day, study there or whatever. The university, or they got an international university, which is now located on my former barracks, where lower barracks used to be located, right where my building used to be. That's where the university right there in Schweinfurt is, an international university right there. It's really awesome. Really, really good. Well, anyways, I hope that this video helped you. If you're considering moving to Schweinfurt, whatever, it's a great consideration. And if I can help, answer any questions, I'll be glad to help you in any way. If you're moving to Schweinfurt or if you're just visiting Schweinfurt, feel free to contact me, and I'll be glad to sit down with you and give you the ins and outs. All right, folks. Well, you have a great rest of your day, night, evening, wherever you're at in this world. And we'll see you again in the very next video. So until then, Dankeschön und Tschüssis.